Welcome to the first of two Super Bowl themed Ultimate Squad Builders. Who are the oldest players on the Patriots and the Falcons? Well, it's Matt Bryant and Tom Brady, but who are the oldest players that aren't Tom Brady or Matt Bryant and have been on more teams, so make it more interesting on the Falcons and Patriots? Well, it's Dwight Freeney and Alan Branch. Now, I thought about doing this because I've restarted the Brandon Marshall's career draft series and that's going well. Now, the idea behind that series is to build up a team made up exclusively of players that Brandon Marshall has played with, and I thought why not do the same for the two most senior players on each team that has played for a bunch of teams. Obviously, it wouldn't quite be as interesting if it was Tom Brady, who's only ever played for the Patriots, and Matt Bryant, who's played for the Falcons since 2009. Alan Branch and Dwight Freeney perfectly fit the criteria, and I've gone and built teams using only players that I've ever been on the same team as, and they have some incredible teams for each other. And the way I'm going to do this is similar to the way I did the college teams, is we're going to have a look at them side by side, position group per position group, and base it off that. So here are the teams right now. As you can see, Dwight Freeney's team is technically the worst team, a 91 overall, a 93 offense, and an 89 defense. Alan Branch's team, a 92 overall, 93 offense, and a 91 defense. But we don't base this off the overalls. I was going to say off the overalls alone. We don't base it on the overalls whatsoever. We're going to compare the two position groups to each other, and it's not based on Madden overalls. We base it off the actual players. So we'll start with the offensive line, and as you can see, Dwight Freeney under the starters does have some other players, but what we've got here is just the Falcons offensive line from this year, and it shows how good they are. On the other hand, for Alan Branch, he's got two Seahawks players, two starters from this year, and Sebastian Vollmer from other seasons, not this one because he's injured. Now, in terms of diversity, I prefer Alan Branch's group here. We've got Seahawks players who now play for a whole bunch of different teams. Dwight Freeney just has the current starting line for the Falcons, but just look at the group. I can't not give the favor here to the Falcons when we look at it. So advantage offensive line goes to the Falcons, that's 1 point for them. We move on to the tight ends, and now we see our first legend here, Dallas Clark, Dwayne Allen, Jacob Tamme, and also I've had to stuff him in the fullback position because he didn't fit in anymore. For Dwight Freeney, we've also got Antonio Gates. And now that's a great group and all, but Alan Branch, of course, boasts Rob Gronkowski, full stop, but then also Martellus Bennett on top of that. And as long as Rob Gronkowski is involved, that group has to win. Many say the greatest of all time. How is that group not the best? Advantage there goes to the Patriots. Next up, the wide receivers, and this is a clash for the ages. We'll start with Alan Branch this time. He has Larry Fitzgerald, Doug Baldwin, Julian Edelman, Anquan Boldin, Golden Tate, and Chris Hogan. Now that is a group. However, on the other side, Dwight Freeney has Marvin Harrison, another legend, Julio Jones, T.Y. Hilton, also has Larry Fitzgerald, Keenan Allen, Pierre Garçon. Both groups extremely competitive, but you've got to give the advantage to Marvin Harrison, Julio Jones, T.Y. Hilton, but basically whoever you're saying alongside Marvin Harrison, Julio Jones, they both have Larry Fitzgerald, otherwise obviously I'd bring him up as well. It's close, but at the same time there is no competition there. Dwight Freeney takes the point. On to the running backs, and again Dwight Freeney, really, what kind of teams has he been on here? David Johnson, Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, Ryan Matthews. Now Alan Branch has played with some very good running backs too, but in terms of who is eligible for this, it's LeGarrette Blount and Dion Lewis pretty much. It'd be a closer competition if Marshawn Lynch had been given a legend card or something, but that is not the case. And when you've got David Johnson, Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, and Ryan Matthews versus LeGarrette Blount and Dion Lewis, both, those two guys very good, but advantage goes to the single best running back in the NFL and his friends. Then a quick stop with the fullbacks. It's basically James Devlin versus Patrick DiMarco. Now, although I like James Devlin, and just like LeGarrette Blount, his contribution in terms of the wider NFL is definitely undervalued. However, Patrick DiMarco, one of the top 3 fullbacks in the NFL right now. Advantage again to Dwight Freeney and the Falcons. And now the big one, the quarterbacks. Dwight Freeney boasts Matt Ryan, Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, and obviously potentially technically would also have Peyton Manning, but he's not eligible. But Alan Branch has Tom Brady and Russell Wilson. I'm not even going to pretend there is an argument here. Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, advantage to Alan Branch and the Patriots. So on to the defense. Now Freeney and Branch were tied with a 93 rated offense, but Alan Branch has a 91 rated defense over Freeney's 89 rated defense, so maybe we should see some more points going in that direction. What I should point out now is the two players we're building around have to be starters in these teams, so let's start with the safeties. Dwight Freeney has Tyrann Mathieu, Eric Weddle, Bob Sanders, and Keanu Neal. And now that's a group. But on the other hand, Alan Branch has Devin McCourty, Earl Thomas, Jairus Byrd, Cam Chancellor, and Patrick Chung. And now this one is very close and very hard, but we are talking about probably one of the single best safety tandems in NFL history in Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor. But on the other hand, it's the legend Bob Sanders, Tyrann Mathieu, Keanu Neal, Eric Weddle. But any team that has Cam Chancellor on it and Earl Thomas and then Devin McCourty, Jairus Byrd, and Patrick Chung has got to be advantage to them. So Alan Branch gets the point there, although this is absolutely the single closest one we've had out of all of these. Then we move on to the linebackers where Dwight Freeney shows up now. Let's break it into outside linebackers and middle linebackers here. So we start with the outside linebackers, Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis. About as good as a tandem there's ever been in the NFL rushing the passer when they were both at their prime versus some real good hotshot young players, KJ Wright, Jamie Collins, Dante Hightower. But you got to give the advantage here to the two legends, Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis. So outside linebacker goes to Freeney. But then inside linebacker you got Bobby Wagner and Carlos Dansby versus Jarrell Freeman, Kevin Minter. Bobby Wagner, the best middle linebacker in the league outside of Luke Kuechly. Jarrell Freeman, very good, but not as good as Wagner. Carlos Dansby versus Kevin Minter. This one's pretty clear. Inside linebacker advantage goes to Alan Branch. So moving down, and let's go to the defensive line. And again, we'll do defensive ends and defensive tackles. We'll start with the defensive ends. So Alan Branch has Trey Flowers, Mario Williams, a flashback of Mario Williams to the year he played with Alan Branch, Jerry Hughes and Calais Campbell. Freeney has Jerry Hughes, Calais Campbell, Vic Beasley, and Corey Redding. So basically, one's got the better right end, one's got the better left end. So it basically comes down to when you take away the players that are on both teams, Mario Williams and Trey Flowers versus Vic Beasley and Corey Redding. And I really am tempted to say Vic Beasley here, league leader in sacks, but he alone doesn't carry a team. And as we have to go back to primes to compare the two, advantage has to go to the team with Mario Williams on it, Trey Flowers, Calais Campbell, Jerry Hughes, over Jerry Hughes, Vic Beasley, Calais Campbell, and Corey Redding. Basically comes down to Corey Redding versus Mario Williams and Vic Beasley versus Trey Flowers. Advantage, I say, goes to Branch. It's another point for them. And now the defensive tackles, which means it's time for Alan Branch to shine. And this really isn't a fair competition. I mean, Grady Jarrett is good. Alan Branch has to be the starter, but behind him he's got Marcel Darius, Vince Wilfork, and Dan Williams. That's not even close to a competition. Alan Branch takes the advantage here with the defensive tackle position. Point goes to them. And now the cornerbacks. And is this a clash or what? And now this is one where I know whatever I say, there's going to be enough people to disagree probably, because it basically is like a mini version of the Sherman versus Peterson debate, because that's what it comes down to as the two starters there. So we've got for Freeney's team, Patrick Peterson, Jason Verrett, Vontae Davis, Brandon Flowers, Desmond Trufant, Alan Branch, Richard Sherman, Rogers Cromartie, Stephon Gilmore, Malcolm Butler, Darrell Revis. Advantage for the cornerbacks goes to Alan Branch, and also mainly because there's the bunch of guys that didn't even make the list. Brandon Browner at his prime, Byron Maxwell, Logan Ryan. Now there are a few more for Freeney as well, but I think that group is so deep it goes beyond how many players I can even put in here. Alan Branch gets the advantage there on the corners. Moving down to special teams. So my original idea when we did this kind of thing was always to do kickers and punters individually, but to help make this decision easier for me, I'm calling them as one group again. So basically we have Adam Vinatieri, Pat McAfee, Matt Bryant versus Stephen Gostkowski, John Ryan, and Stephen Hauschka. And for the kickers, I'd call it pretty much a tie. And then you got Pat McAfee versus John Ryan, and come on, it's Pat McAfee. Advantage, kickers and punters, goes to Dwight Freeney. For this one, we can extend to kick returners. And now I didn't really think too much about Alan Branch's one. I just put Marquise Goodwin there, but it doesn't really matter who it was because he's never played with Devin Hester. So unless Alan Branch had played with Deion Sanders, Devin Hester, and maybe, potentially nowadays, we can even start maybe thinking about Tyreek Hill in that category. Unless he's played with them, and even Tyreek Hill's not better than Patrick Peterson, Patrick Peterson is going to win. Dwight Freeney gets the point for the returners. And then finally, we can do coaches for this one. The best current head coach that Dwight Freeney has played under, I would say, is Bruce Arians. The best current head coach that Alan Branch has played under that isn't called NE coach is Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll versus Bruce Arians. It's close, but advantage also goes to Pete Carroll. Advantage goes to Alan Branch, and now I haven't counted these yet. And the advantage goes to Alan Branch and the Patriots with a score of 8-7. Now I'm doing this in post because I actually said it the wrong way around originally. I actually put the safeties to Atlanta. Of course, Alan Branch won that one. And now I should mention, when we did this for the colleges, we only did 2 teams versus each other twice. One time the team that won in the points won the game. The other time the team that won in the points didn't win in the game. And for the national championship, we just combined the 2 teams, so there is no proven record for this. And obviously it was never going to mean anything anyway, but it means absolutely nothing for the final result of the game. But that, as the first of 2 Super Bowl themed squad builders, Alan Branch's career roster versus Dwight Freeney's. But I just thought it would be fun to build 2 teams based off these 2 veterans, the oldest guys outside of Brady and Bryant on their respective teams, building teams out of all these players they've played with. And I think both the teams, the Patriots and the Falcons, are lucky to have experienced guys that have played alongside these kinds of players on their teams going into a Super Bowl.